Back here in Washington, the talk is all about tax cuts. And here to talk about that is the contributing editor for theloop21.com, Keli Goff, and Bob Cusack, who is the managing editor for the Hill newspaper. So, are these tax cuts going through? The big argument, of course, is tax cuts for the upper income folks. Republicans want that, Democrats don't. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think the White House is going to go along with congressional Republicans. They'll get some things that they want, like the U.S.-Russia arms treaty that's been pending for a long time. They'll also get an extension of unemployment benefits. But Nancy Pelosi is not going to be happy with this deal because it's going, and we're going to have a Democratic Congress for the moment, certainly, and a Democratic White House extending all of the Bush tax cuts likely for 2 years. They have votes tomorrow in the Senate. Those measures are Democratic measures. They don't have the votes to pass. We saw it in the House. That had the votes to pass the House, but it's not going anywhere in the Senate. So they've got to strike a deal. Republicans have the momentum, and that's what they're going to get. They're going to extension of all the tax, including the wealthy tax cuts.
But so I guess the way the president will get around his statements that he is totally opposed to permanent tax cuts for the upper income people. These will be temporary tax cuts.
That's right. That's right.
Temporary.
It is temporary, but it also, I think, presents him with a political problem if it is 2 years, because then we're having this debate again in 2 years during the presidential.
Well, look, Bill Cosby famously said that if everyone's happy with what you're doing, then you're doing something wrong. And the good news is about what we're going to end up seeing is that neither Democrats are going to be happy or Republicans are going to be happy with the ultimate outcome. You have Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner and White House Budget Director Jack Lew trying to broker this deal. And what they're trying to broker is that you'll have an extension of the tax cuts for 2 years, all of them, and then an extension of federal unemployment benefits for 1 year. That's what they're trying to go for. Now, whether or not we're going to ultimately see that happen, that's still the looming question mark. But basically, you have them acknowledging that probably neither side is going to be ultimately happy with the outcome, so they might as well go ahead and settle for something that's better than nothing.
But that's what the deal is. But I mean, now there's going to be a vote in the Senate tomorrow.
Saturday.
What happens on that?
Well, you know, they're trying to do cloture to get around this filibuster that's been preventing things from going to the floor. And look, you know, I know that you said that the Republicans have the momentum. I will say this, that you are looking at a couple of million people who are going to run out of these unemployment benefits by Christmas time. That's not exactly, you know, a positive thing to have going for your party, to be blamed for a bunch of people not being able to stuff their kids' Christmas stockings because mom and dad have no money, you know. And so I don't know that I necessarily agree that from an image perspective that the momentum really is on Republican side, because they don't want to end up looking like Scrooge.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's just talk from a realistic side. Is this going to pass before this lame duck session is out this year? Because all of the tax cuts for everybody expire at the end of this year.
Oh, I think so, Bob. I think that the White House is very intent on making sure a tax cut measure, because there are advisors at the White House who acknowledge, and Peter Orszag, former budget director, has said that we should extend all the tax cuts, including for the wealthy, especially when the ailing economy needs so much help. So I think we will get a deal. It could be close to Christmas Eve, maybe, but we'll get a deal.
And one thing we're forgetting, too, really quickly, is that the treaty is going to take at least a week. The Republicans
have said the nuclear arms treaty. START treaty.
The Republicans have been very clear and said we want at least a week to go over this and think about that. So that makes time of the essence, because they're not even going to get to that until the tax cut issue is resolved. So the clock is really ticking. I mean, they've really got to reach a resolution in the early part of next week for everyone to get things done by Christmas time.
You think they'll get that too? But you think, both of you seem to think that the START treaty is going to be part of this deal. I mean.
Right. Well, you know, it's always the case with Washington. You want to talk about war, you got to talk about college tuition tax credits, right? Somehow they all end up going together, even though it doesn't make any sense.
All right. Well, thank you all both for that. It's very enlightening.